Urban Meyer, beware of the Lion's Den. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, reviewing all the schedules and ranking them 70 all the way up to number 1. We arrive in Columbus with the Ohio State Buckeyes ranking at number 49 in schedule strength, number 11 in the Big Ten, which means the fourth easiest in the conference. Here's why. Let's look at the non-conference games. Oregon State comes to Columbus on September 1st to open the season. So the Buckeyes do have 2 Power 5s, but Oregon State barely qualifies. They are definitely one of the 2 or 3 worst Power 5 teams in the nation, right there with Kansas. They are so bad that most power projections for this season rank them in the bottom 5 of the FBS, including the group of 5. So you've got Oregon State and then a date against TCU at Cowboys Stadium in Week 3. So that's the marquee matchup for the Buckeyes this year. TCU in what is a neutral site game in which, of course, TCU has a huge advantage being very close to home. It's basically a game at TCU. Other than that, home game the next week, September 22nd against Tulane, which is about the 90th best team in the country. So the out-of-conference is not very difficult, but the one key marquee matchup against TCU is, of course, a difficult one for the Buckeyes. They play in the brutal Big Ten Eastern Division, but, of course, they're one of the reasons why it's considered to be the very best at the top. They don't have to play themselves. So they do have Penn State, Michigan, Michigan State. They have 2 of those 3 games on the road. So they've got the date at Penn State. Mark it down, September 29th. It could mean the entire Big Ten. Ohio State at Penn State, of course, they were fortunate with a valiant comeback to beat Penn State by 1 point, 39-38 in Columbus. 2 years ago, they got tripped up by the Nittany Lions and lost the Big Ten because of that in Happy Valley. They have had difficulty at Beaver Stadium in recent years. The trip before that in 2014 with a team that eventually won the national championship, Ohio State had to go to double overtime to beat Penn State. And that was a Penn State team that finished 7-6. All right, a trip to Penn State, a trip to Michigan State, November 10th. Of course, the Buckeyes mauled Sparty last year at home, but the trips to Michigan State have been difficult as well. Michigan's at home November 24th. Who do the Buckeyes play in the other division? This is what really weights down the schedule and brings it down into the 40s at number 49. Ohio State has no Wisconsin and not even the second tier of the Big Ten West in Iowa or Northwestern. They play Nebraska at home. They've got Purdue on the road, and they have Minnesota on October 13th. Minnesota went 2-7 in the Big Ten last year. Purdue's decent. They're better, but they still went 4-5 in the Big Ten last year. And then you've got Nebraska, a team that's around 50th in the nation. So they avoid Wisconsin, Iowa, and Northwestern. And they've got to deal with Michigan, Michigan State, and Penn State. So it's the 49th best schedule in the country, the 11th most difficult in the Big Ten. It belongs to Ohio State. After we rank all the schedules, we come back and we preview and predict the entire season in 2018, right here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.